Armenta, Hale.
Here.
Alden,
Here.
Candela,
Here.
Juan, here, Lozada, Sullivan.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The following people were elected at the April 6th, 2021 election. Mr. John Hoffman, Ms. Ivana Ambarola, and Ms. Nicole Sullivan. The following person is appointed to the Board of Education for a 2-year term. Ms. Lisa Bailey. We will now seat our new board members and have them take the oath of office. So I'm going to ask both Elisa and Yvonne if you would just join me by the flag, and we can do it right here. And we can do it together. Okay. Yes, you can take your hand out. I solemnly affirm that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Government in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois, so that my I, Lisa Bailey, solemnly affirm that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Government School District 76, in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois, to the best of my ability. I, Yvonne Gonzalez Angulola, do solemnly affirm that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Diamond Lake School District 76, in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois, to the best of my ability. I further affirm that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek hearing before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual, and that decisions can only be made by majority vote at a public board meeting. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual, and that decisions can be made only by majority vote at a public board meeting. I shall advise the majority decisions of the board, while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. I shall abide by majority decisions of the board, while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. As part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student and employee. As a part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district. I shall foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Diamond Lake School District 76. I shall foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Diamond Lake School District 76. I shall assist in establishing a structure and environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall assist in establishing a structure and environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall strive to ensure continuous assessment of student achievement in all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with ensure continuous development of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in line with state law. I shall serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students in our community schools to advance the vision for Diamond Lake School District 76, and I shall serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students in our community schools to advance the vision for Diamond Lake School District 76, and I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district towards fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development. I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district towards fulfilling the vision of the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development. Congratulations. Welcome to the board.
Lots of chairs.
Yeah, yes, we're good.
Coming back over.
Very nice. Thank you so much for coming. And congratulations and welcome to our new board members. I'm now going to appoint the following people as president and secretary pro tem in order to begin the organization meeting. I'm going to appoint myself as president pro tem and Mrs. Kwan as secretary pro tem. And now we will adjourn sine die. And now, calling to order the committee of the full meeting. Roll call, please. Sorry. We have to flip between screens.
Ms. Angarola.
Here.
Ms. Bayless. Here. Ms. Hale.
Here.
Mr. Halpin.
Here.
Mr. Candela.
Here.
Ms. Kwan. Here. Ms. Sullivan.
Okay, now we are going to reorganize the school board. Nominations are now in order for the office of president. And all of these only require nomination. We don't need to second.
I would like to nominate Ms. Hale.
Do we have any other nominations for president? Okay, then we can just do a unanimous ballot. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that carries. And now, can I have nominations for vice president? I'd like to nominate, oh, okay, go
I
ahead.
was
Mr.
gonna say, nominate Dave Candela.
Great. Do we have any other nominations for vice president? Okay, then can I get a unanimous vote? All in favor?
Aye.
And then can I have a nomination for secretary, please?
Nominate Mrs. Kwan.
Do we have any other nominations? Okay, can I have a unanimous vote? All in favor?
Aye.
That is approved. So we now have our new board. And okay, we're not going to do. Do we need to appoint the committee members? Okay. So the only other committee appointee we need is a CEDAL designee. And in the past, Jose Lozada filled that role. So if anyone is interested, I don't think we need to appoint them tonight. We can always do it on a rotating basis too, depending on availability. Right now, all of CDL's meetings, I believe, are just via Zoom. So if you're interested in that, please let Dr. Sherman Lewis and myself know, and then we can get that schedule going moving forward. And now you want us to review that. Okay, and then the next item in your packet is the resolution for the 2021-2022 board meeting dates, and we're going to take action on them at the May 18th board meeting. So I don't know if anyone has any questions about those. It looks like it's pretty much our typical schedule.
With the exception of, if you guys would know, we're not going to take action again until May 18th, that the September 7th meeting is no school for Rosh Hashanah, which is a Tuesday. It's the Monday, excuse me, the Tuesday after Labor Day, which is that first Monday in September. So our suggestion is to either hold the board meeting on Wednesday, September 8th, following that day, or just have one board meeting in September, which is the 21st. And that doesn't conflict with anything related to the budget hearing or with the budget. We'll be able to make all those dates happen. So it's really just a choice. Like I said, we can start it now, that's on the 18th before we take action.
Sure. We could always add it back in too, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Like if you realize that there was additional business you wanted action on sooner.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have any discussion points for that?
It is at the start of the school year. Do we have any like school year presentations? We'll back at that, you know, back to the calendar. We can we'll have some nothing is time bound.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, then we feel free to, if you have any other questions, to ask them later, or we can always discuss again at the next board meeting before we approve. And now we open the floor to public comments on agenda items. Do we have any public comments? Again, for anyone viewing virtually, if you have a comment, please type that in the chat box and Eric will read it into our meeting.
Current comment is just speak loudly so that the parents can hear.
Sure. Thank you for that. Okay, there being no other public comments, we will move on to presentations, and thank you all for waiting so patiently for that.
Okay, so our presentation tonight, if you recall, a few board meetings ago, Tom brought up the idea of renaming Columbus Day, which is the typical school holiday that we have no school in October, is usually the second Monday in October. And so we presented that idea to our students, or Mr. Cunningham and Mr. Peterson presented the idea to students, and we have a group of students that are present both sides of whether we should change the name from Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Holiday, or leave the Columbus Day holiday the same. Right now, as it reads on our calendar, it's just no school, not attendance day for October. So we're going to have students present. I'm going to hand the floor over to Mr. Cunningham, who's going to introduce the staff and students who are here tonight. And then we're going to give the board an opportunity to discuss the presentation and the two sides that are presented, and then have a discussion and take action on how they'd like to proceed on either renaming the holiday or keeping it as is. So Mr. Cunningham.
All right, yes, we're very excited to have our crew here tonight, and we have a couple online as well. So we did have a meeting with Mr. Dorr and Ms. Enriquez, because they actually are teaching exploration during 7th grade. And so they reached out to for 7th graders, which I'm going to let them introduce them and explain a little bit of the process. So I think we're going to have the Indigenous Peoples Day go first. That's our in-person people. So what we'll do is we'll have Mr. Dorr briefly introduce them, and then we're going to have the 4 very nervous students come up here, and we had a little chat beforehand that they present to the board. So they're going to face you guys and present. And so the guys will all come up now as Mr. Doe introduces you. So, and we will have you guys, Mr. Hanson will control it, but we'll have you kind of stand here. So that way the board can hear you and you'll be right in front of the speaker as well.
That's fine, or.
Or the
I'll
podium.
use the podium.
On the podium's even fancier.
Sometimes that's really nice.
Okay, so we're
to hold on.
presenting to the board, not to the,
No, this is the audience, so.
okay. Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to give the students this chance to show what they've been learning all year and kind of give them a next level opportunity to really focus on persuasive arguments and things like that. So they really enjoyed doing that this year. We've got Haley Schwall, we've got Andy Chen, we've got Leah Abraham, we've got Gabrielle Yateson. I've had the honor of teaching a lot of their siblings as well. So if you guys want to come up. They've been working hard on this for many weeks now and just developing a slideshow. The process is that they're going to present the slides for the Indigenous people's side of the argument. And then Ms. Enriquez's students virtually are going to be presenting the other side, which would be to keep it as Columbus Day as is. And I'm going to let them take over.
All right. You guys go ahead. It's up right here. Stand right at the podium. Can they present? We can present. Yeah, presenters take their mask off. Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Jenny Sister, and today my group and I are going to be talking about why we think we should change Indigenous Peoples Day to Columbus Day. For starters, here's a little bit about Columbus' background. He was born in Manila, Italy in 1451. He had 4 siblings and he worked as a merchant as a teacher. He was married to Filippo Moniz Perizerso, and he died May 20th, 1506.
Tell me to skip the slide.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mia Abraham, and I'm going to be talking about what Columbus has done. Many people consider Columbus to be a very racist man and thought of as a predator. He murdered and tortured millions of people of color and robbed the native people of millions of acres of land. Columbus had also brought many new diseases that Indigenous people were not ready for nor immune to. He also enslaved about 1,400 Indigenous people from the Orange. Hi, I'm Haley Schwall, and I'm going to be talking about why we should celebrate Indigenous people. By recognizing Indigenous people, we are celebrating their culture and their history. The Indigenous people didn't fight back very much. All they wanted was peace between them and Columbus. The Indigenous people were very kind. They did many kind things like bring food, water, spears, carrots, and cotton to Columbus and his men. By bringing their culture into the light, we are acknowledging them as the first people on American lands.
Why do we even celebrate Columbus Day? Leif Erikson was the first one to find America about 500 years before Columbus was even born. Columbus lied to the king and queen, saying they were riches when he was killed. He also claimed the native land as famous. Columbus converted many natives to Christianity in a more aggressive manner than he was asked to. Columbus withstood the good governorship and respect of Spanish king and queen once they found out what he did.
Some more things you should know is that the Chicago Board of Education has already switched Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day, along with 14 other states, plus the District of Columbia. Also, the 130 other cities have also switched. Thank you all very much for listening to that presentation on why we think we should celebrate Indigenous people instead of Columbus Day. And here are some resources that my group and I had used while creating this presentation, and some of the more resources that you can take a look at when deciding to keep or change
not bad. You guys can have a seat. We'll have the second group go. So Ms. Enriquez is going to introduce the second group. They're both online. And so looks like we saw them connecting. So Ms. Enriquez, go ahead and introduce your crew and then we'll make sure they're all ready to go.
All right, so I reached out to a handful of students to kind of argue in favor of keeping it. They weren't really, in favor of keeping it, but they were up for the task to argue why. The other side, it was a good challenge for them to look at the other side and be able to come up with arguments. So Guadalupe Gonzalez and Ben Healy stepped up to the challenge and they're going to share their views.
All right, so Guadalupe and Ben, you guys can go ahead and turn on cameras. I know we saw there you both are. And you can go ahead and unmute yourselves. So. And I'm loving that. All right, we could hear you, but you just muted, Ben. So that means that Guadalupe is going first.
What? Oh, I was going.
Yeah, he was
first.
going first. I think he just muted.
All right, I think you want to give us 1 second, Ben. We'll get that screen up. All right, Ben, can you see that?
Yes, I can see it. Thank you. Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for letting us participate in this meeting. Obviously, we, as the disclaimer mentions, and she has mentioned, it's kind of difficult, but I hope we have made a good presentation today. If you could move to the next slide, that'd be great. Thank you. I want to just keep in mind that we're using bullet points because we're not going to pull up the whole paragraphs up there. If we did, you'd understand why teachers are hesitant about giving me writing assignments because it's kind of long. So I'll just start. Well, the first argument we'd like to make is that there are a lot of Italians and Italian Americans who deeply respect and idolize Christopher Columbus, and these persons of the Italian community have so for decades and have viewed him as a relative who has played a role of great import in their history. These persons wish to keep the appellation of Christopher Columbus Day as a remembrance of their history and the trials and tribulations they faced. I hope I don't butcher his name. Joseph Ciora put it in an NPR interview. One has to remember the lynching in New Orleans of 11 Italian Americans in 1891, so that Columbus becomes this figure that Italians latch onto as a way to get a foothold in this hostile environment. There's an emotional bond to Columbus. I don't see Columbus, I see my grandfather. So as these personages of the Italian community have put it, renaming the appellation of Christopher Columbus Day would hurt and disrespect their community, as though people were defaming their ancestor, their ancestral sire, and have stated if people want to pay their respects to the Italian community, then the best way to do so would be to keep the name as Christopher Columbus Day. You can move on to the next next slide. Okay, thank you. There have also been arguments made about the historical impact that Columbus has had, the plethora of ways that he has helped impact history. One way would be the Columbian Exchange, which was an intercontinental trade of goods and products that helped impregnate or cultivate countries with the cultures of others. Hence, the Columbian exchange has helped shape the ways of life of certain countries as we know them at the present day. Um, they've also made mention of the fact that him helping to start the Columbian exchange and his voyages inspired others to move or explore the New World. Life in America would not exist. You know, the as they've argued, the immigrants who saw America as a beacon of light when they moved here and landed on Ellis Island may not have come here without the hope that inspired them to relocate when they learned about the Columbus's Odyssey. And uh, you know, they viewed him as a I guess you could say sort of an effigy of freedom and new and better beginnings that and freedom and a better life from what they were experiencing at home, and that was who Columbus represented. Um, so if you can move on to the next slide, that was my part. Thank you. Um, thank you for letting me do my disquisition, and I'll hand it off to my partner, Guadalupe.
Hi, I'm Guadalupe, and I'll be presenting the next few slides. So, certain people have also stated that Orthodox people or Orthodox denizens of the world need their heroes to lionize and deify, and Christopher Columbus is one of those personages that people wish to idolize, almost like as a sort of a myth or that reminds them of their country and who they are. And additionally, these certain Tellurians have also made the argument that when people celebrate Columbus Day, they're not celebrating like a Holocaust of Native Americans, but rather the founding of their country and the arrival of their sires into America on hopes to a better life. And these people have also made the argument that keeping tradition is a great import of what they are able to celebrate a holiday without scrupulous research, homogenous to how people enjoy eating a kielbasa or a ralachi without knowing what goes into it. So if you could please move on to the next slide. So for the closing argument, it was a pretty tough challenge since we are arguing for a position we do not agree with. But we had the opportunity to show the reasons why Christopher Columbus Day should be celebrated with the same name. But if we were able to change the name, as people have said, this would bring a great amount of disappointment throughout the nation. And it would also bring sadness due to the fact that Christopher Columbus was such an important historical figure. Christopher Columbus Day brings excitement to households and families, which we shouldn't take away. He introduced people to the new world and to a new life. And Christopher Columbus Day won't just be a day to celebrate him, but also the remembrance of the start of the new world. And thank you, that was our presentation.
So that's all the presentations we have this evening. Mr. Dora, Mr. Enriquez, thank you so much, and all the students that were here and your families for being here tonight to support that. And for the benefit of our audience and people at home, this each presentation has also been translated and it's available on our website in Spanish. So if you'd like to review that, it's also on there. And then the board will be discussing and taking action in the business part of their agendas, which will be the very next item. So if the teachers and students and their families would like to wait and listen to the discussion and see what your presentations have resulted in, you're welcome to do so.
Great. Thank all of you so much for coming and for your presentations. It's great to really see kind of your thought process and all of the hard work that you put into it. Thank you to you guys for joining us virtually as well. We're glad that you could all be here. We are looking at our business agenda at the first item, which is approving the renaming of the holiday to either Indigenous Peoples Day or to Non-Attendance Day. Do you want us to choose one?
Yeah, and one of the things we've got left out is what the students present, or just keeping it.
Or keeping it the same.
As Columbus Day. Right now, it's listed as non-attendance holiday since we hadn't made up presented it.
Okay, so I'm gonna open the floor to, board discussion on this item. So if anyone has kind of a reason or argument that they would like to, either change the name or keep it the same, if you wanna let us know. I think when we last talked about this, the board seemed to be collectively in favor of either renaming the holiday as Indigenous Peoples' Day or having a non-attendance day rather than keeping the name of Columbus Day. But John, did you want to go ahead?
Yeah, no, I was gonna agree, and we wanted to hear from the students.
Yeah.
To see what they thought and what they were in favor of. And, to get their input, so.
Definitely. It definitely sounds like, even though we saw two arguments, that all of the students seem to have a similar opinion and were supporting the renaming of the holiday.
I would like to just once again thank all of the students that participated in this activity. It was incredibly inspiring, and I hope you all were able to learn something new during this presentation. And to Ben and Lupita, thank you so much for presenting the side of the argument that you also admitted that you don't necessarily agree with. Sometimes that's the harder part of the assignment. So thank you for participating and doing that. I thought Andrew made a really important point that the progress seems to be heading towards a certain direction. And my personal opinion is that we should be riding that wave and following that progress. So thank you for that.
I'm sorry, I'm just a little confused. Are we supposed to pick between?
I think we are.
Okay.
I think we are. So the choice, currently it says non-attendance day, because I think at the last meeting, we all agreed that we felt like keeping the name Columbus Day wasn't really aligned with the vision.
Right, but I mean between.
Yeah, so now we would pick. So so I think that we've kind of knocked the Columbus Day option off the table, and we're left with either keeping the non-attendance day or changing it to Indigenous Peoples' Day to recognize kind of that shift. Does anyone have preference?
Or if somebody wants to make a recommendation, and then you can, Mrs. Hale can read the resolution. So if there's a recommendation on the table that you want to name it Indigenous People Day or keep it as non-attendance day, then, a board member can speak up and then we can take a vote on that.
So I would like to make the recommendation that we change that non-attendance day to Indigenous Peoples' Day.
Okay, then I'm going to read the motion in accordance with that recommendation. Be it resolved, the Diamond Lake School District 76 Board of Education accepts and approves the renaming of the October school holiday as Indigenous Peoples' Day. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Hovind,
Yes.
Ms. Angarola,
Yes.
Ms. Bayless, yes, Ms. Hale,
Yes.
Mr. Candela,
Yes.
Ms. Pond, yes.
Fantastic. The resolution passes, and the holiday will now be known as Indigenous Peoples' Day on our calendar. So thank you all so much for your participation. We really appreciate all the time you spent. We know you probably have other things you might want to do this evening. And so if you would like to leave now, please feel free.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So thank you everyone for that. We're now going to move on to the other items on our business agenda for the evening. We have a couple items for action, but most are just for information. The first item is the Omnibus vote agenda, which will be approved at the May 18th meeting. And that is just included for your review. The next item also included for review is the health insurance rates. And I didn't know, Eric, if you wanted to present some information on that.
Yeah, I'll just talk briefly on that. It won't nearly be as exciting as that. I mean, that was the coolest thing. It's been a year and a half, I think, since we've seen a presentation from kids. That was incredibly cool.
Great. Yeah.
So
Shoes to fill.
They sound a little different.
So the insurance committee met last week to review our proposed renewal package that we received from Blue Cross Blue Shield. We've had a very favorable year again. This is the third straight year we're recommending a nominal increase to the insurance rates. It's basically, since we're self-funded, our renewal rates really have a lot to do with our direct claims history. And so as an insurance committee, it comprised of one teacher from each building, and they're all union members, head of the union as well. So it was nice to get some good representation in. And they're all veterans of the committee as well. So it's been kind of a nice process the last few years. And, overall, we're recommending a 3% increase to medical and dental. And in the packet itself, it talks about some of the reserve calculations. So the main component of that was recommending a nominal increase that still adds to our reserve balance. So it keeps us about a 60 to 90 day reserve pool there. So overall, that's our goal, is to always get toward 90, but we felt a 3% raise gave not only attributed towards that reserve amount, but it also decreased the amount teachers are going to pay year over year, because the amount they get for the contract is a little bit more than that. So this is just for information, so it'll go on for action on the next agenda. But I wanted to point to the last page, just because it was an interesting tidbit that they talked about how COVID has affected our insurance pool as a whole, and it really was not that impactful as you would have thought it was going to be. So we had just about $88,000 of cost cooperative wide for testing, and I think it was 126,000 in terms of treatment costs. So there's always a chance that those costs are going to still keep adding up if there's any extended hospital stays. But with 2,000 individuals on the cooperative, that is a very low cost. So we overall had a pretty good year. So was there any questions about the renewal package that I proposed? And if it is between now and the next meeting, I'd be happy to take any other additional questions as well.
But I'm gonna leave you on the hook for the next resolution as well. So this is the tentative amended budget. I didn't know if you wanted to speak to that before we take a vote.
Yeah, and I just will point out to why I'm asking for action on this agenda. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, to approve a budget, you need to have a 30-day window between approving a tentative budget and adopting an official budget. So between now and June 30th, which is the end of our fiscal year, we need to, in order to get this approved, we need to have it done before the second board meeting in June. So this aligns perfectly. We have a meeting tonight, and then June 8th would be our next meeting where a public hearing would be held. And the memo kind of indicates why I'm asking for an amended budget. I've done this twice since I've been here. And the reason really is it was such an unknown year. I think it very poorly represents what our expenditures are unless we do an amendment. And it's just in the transportation fund and then the capital projects and life safety fund. So the transportation fund was basically, we didn't know when we were going to start school this year. And also we had an agreement with Lakeside that didn't impact our budget until the 21 fiscal year. So that was when we were paying 35% of the cost of our contract to keep Lakeside employed. And that was industry-wide, district-wide, what people have been making agreements for. So all that money didn't hit our books until this fiscal year. So that's why it threw us off. And then the capital projects and life safety fund were just attributed to projects we were able to do early this year. And we were able to do lighting projects, our ViewSonic projects, and then there were several other odds and ends we were able to do before the summer started. So if there's any questions about that specifically, I'd be happy to go into it, but it's a very small amendment. I would consider it. Overall, we're on track.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? Okay, then we will proceed with taking action on this item. Whereas ILCS 105/5/17-1 directs the board to provide at least one public hearing prior to final action on the amended budget, and whereas notice of the public hearing must be published in a local newspaper at least 30 days prior to the time of the public hearing. Therefore, be it resolved, the Diamond Lake 76 Board of Education will set the budget hearing on June 22nd, 2021. The board will adopt the final fiscal year 19 amended budget at the June 22nd, 2021 board meeting following the public hearing. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Mr. Candela?
Yes.
Ms. Kwan? Yes. Ms. Angarola?
Yes.
Ms. Bayless? Yes. Ms. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Moving on to our last item on our business agenda this evening, which is personnel. Be it resolved, the Diamond Lake 76 Board of Education accepts and approves the personnel items as depicted on the agenda. We have one new hire, 2 resignations, and 1 position change. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Candela?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Ms. Angarola?
Yes.
Ms. Bayless? Yes. Ms. Hale?
Yes.
Ms. Kwan? Yes.
That motion is approved. And that concludes our business agenda for this evening. Moving on to board discussion. Do we have any items for board discussion? Okay, we did not have any freedom of information requests. Moving on to notices and communications.
So this was just added to your board packet about an hour ago, that we were spotlighted in the Illinois State Board of Education weekly message that comes from our state superintendent. And as you can see, we have one of our staff members, Mrs. Morgenthaler, and some of our students who are celebrating School Spirit Week. So we're gonna do something to celebrate that. Like I said, it just came in about an hour ago, so we've attached it on so you can read it. And then I'll be working with Mr. Hanson tomorrow to figure out how to publicize it, get it out to our larger community and to our staff. So I'm very proud of that we were called on Friday and we made it into the Tuesday edition.
That's great to see. Okay, I don't think there are any other notices and communications. We will move on now to public comments and petitions on non-agenda items. Do we have any public comments on non-agenda items this evening? Again, for anyone that's joining us virtually, please feel free to type that into the chat box. And we'll give you a minute to do so. Okay, there do not appear to be any public comments. Moving on to others. Do we have any others this evening?
I just want to make a comment that in the small little box that each of you have in front of you are teacher appreciation gifts that we gave out on behalf of the Board of Education and the district leadership team, and we would like for you to have those as well. So you can carry us with you, stay charged, and we got a little logo on there to do your phone, your iPad, and your laptop. So
Very nice.
For all my
so
work.
thank you and enjoy.
Thank you, Vanna.
Yes, Mr. Preble, will you model that for us? just
Would
so-
you like me to? I can do the whole,
So they can see it.
Wow,
Very nice.
And it matches with everything. It's black and white.
very nice. Thank you very much.
Love to enjoy, and that's all we have.
Great. Well, this is a very fast,
Oh.
multiple board meeting.
I'd just like to say to the new board members. thank you.
This will never
Yeah.
happen again. This is great. Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that concludes our meeting this evening.